Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And it's wonderful to be here with Pat Robles. We all know her. Actually, we all know her from probably way back when.
Probably so.
As in various roles here, and we'll be talking about that. So I kind of thought this would be a nice get to know you interview with Pat, whom we all already know, maybe to discover a little bit more about her and maybe some ongoing conversation pieces, who knows, as time goes on. Now, your birth name is Kinney, I believe.
It is,
right?
Kinney.
Kinney.
With an I-E.
With an I-E.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Kinney. And you and a twin sister, Mary, were born just about 6 months before I was born.
Oh, heavens.
So you're 6 months older than
Heavens.
I am. Even though you don't look it at all.
Oh, thank you, Father.
And you and Mary are identical twins.
We're identical twins. Yes, we are.
And one of the things that you and I have in common, as I noted in our pre-interview discussion, was that you are a Valley girl and I'm a Valley boy, at least in origin, except my valley was San Fernando Valley. And what was your valley?
Mine was San Joaquin Valley.
And so where were you born?
Up in Central California, Visalia, California. It's my claim to fame. And we were born at St. Mary's Hospital. And when we were born, it was such a big thing that there was twins that my mother just didn't know what to name it. So she said she was still sleeping and she named us Patricia and Mary. So there we have it. No matching names. Pat and Mike look alike.
Or Pat and Mary, how could we...
Pat and Mary, how contrary.
Okay, you said that, I didn't. And you moved to get out of the heat, obviously, when you were 5 years old.
When we were 5 years old.
1947.
Yes, we came to Santa Monica, and we spent almost all of our lives there. I was in Santa Monica till I came here a year and 2 months ago.
So you went from being a 5-year-old Valley girl to a West Side girl, a beach girl.
Beach rat. That's what Mother used to say.
Any interesting stories about your first 5 years?
Well, I can remember that when we first came here, my grandfather, he had a fishing tackle store on the Santa Monica Pier.
Okay.
And he also had a little fishing wharf. So my first memory of Santa Monica is that my grandfather had a store upstairs over the tackle store, but there was a room downstairs that was very close to the ocean, and Mary and I had to sleep in there. And we were just a little bit afraid because we kept hearing the surf all night long. In fact, in the store there was a hole in the floor that you could open it up and look down and see the ocean. They used to climb down there for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But so that was my first memory of Santa Monica.
And you started kindergarten in Stockton.
We did. We did in Stockton. We were with my grandparents.
Finished at St. Monica's.
St. Monica's. Anyway, we came, a few months, I guess, into kindergarten. We came to Santa Monica, and we went to St. Monica's, and there we stayed.
And stayed?
All through our years.
So you went to high school at St. Monica's?
We went all through elementary and high school at St. Monica's, yes.
Any good memories of St. Monica's?
Oh, there's a lot of good memories.
Any that you can share?
Well, let's see. I can remember our first pastor was Nicholas Cornelius, and I can remember going to his funeral, and I think we were in the second grade then. It was a very big deal. And he was there for quite a long while, and that was a big memory. And then I can remember in kindergarten, we had a teacher, her name was Mrs. Laws, and she had these little long things, little bars with jingle bells on the end. And we used to stand up and do our little exercises with the jingle bells. And she was a nice little lady. I loved her. And I had sisters all through school.
Now you had you had a couple of stories about Monsignor Nicholas Cornelius.
Nicholas, yes.
One of which was it was rumored that he was the model for upon which Going My Way.
Going My Way, yes.
He was
the
older
model.
pastor,
Yes, he was the old guy. And he was, that's what they say. Monsignor Torgerson always brought that up, that he was the model for that movie. So I suppose it must be true.
And there was...
If Lloyd said so.
If Lloyd said so, it must be true. It
Right.
must be true. That's for
Right.
sure. I think you also told a story about he had a brush with the law.
Yes, there was a story that he got stopped, and he was stopped because he didn't make, in those days, you had to make traffic signals out,
Oh, yeah.
So he fought it, and he went to court. And when he went in front of the judge says, "Oh," he said, "it must be true because Monsignor Cornelius always had his hand out."
So he got dismissed.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
I guess.
And fast forward a little bit to 1972, you ran into
Oh, yes.
Sister.
When my grandmother died, she was buried here at St. Monica's, and out in front there was a lady was walking by the church, and I went up to her and said, "Are you Sister Marceline Marie?" And she goes, "Yes, I am." And of course, in the old days, they wore the habits, and how in God's name I ever recognized her after all those years? But I did, and she was as sweet as ever. But I stayed in touch with most of the sisters that I knew in the high school, especially until their deaths, and used to go and see them in Los Gatos. Mm-hmm.
Now, having a twin sister
Oh, yes.
in school, grade school and high school, must have given rise to a little mischief here and there, perhaps?
Well, perhaps.
Or
Well, a little bit.
adventures or misadventures?
Well,
or...
not, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There was only one sister. We think we were juniors in high school, and this sister, I think her name was Consuela, and she was she was a bit dippy anyway, but but she was the only sister that could not tell us apart, and she was the only one we could fool. And even if we weren't fooling her, she thought that we were. And one other story about school with Mary, when we were in the second grade, they decided that we cheated because we got all of our answers were always the same. And so they decided in the third grade they would separate us so we couldn't cheat anymore. So as it turned out, we still missed the same answers. So they said that was the biggest mistake they ever made, and they put us back together.
Okay. Then after high school, being good identical twins, you sort of pursued the same beginning, at least, of college.
Well, we did. We both went to Willis Business College in Santa Monica, and my mother so wanted us to be executive secretaries, and she had wonderful skills with typing and shorthand, and she just knew we would do that, but we really didn't.
So you kind of got into sales.
When I was 17, when I was just before we graduated, they called Sister, and they were looking for somebody that was honest and she thought was nice to work at Tom McAn's shoe store. So I went to work at Tom McAn's shoe store, and Mary went to work at Sears. So after business college, you had to have experience in those days. So I decided that I would go to the telephone company and just worked for 1 year, just enough to get some experience to say that I was qualified to do something. So, where Mary lived, Mary used to take the bus to Sears, and then I was in the office on Colorado and Cloverfield, and that's where all the guys from the pole yard went out in the trucks, and they couldn't understand how I could be there in the pole yard, and then they came around the corner and saw Mary at the bus station. But we figured it out finally. They did.
So which Sears did she work at?
She
Was
worked
that the
in
one-
Santa Monica.
They're near the pier?
The big,
The big one that
Sears.
they closed.
She worked there
few
for
years
quite
ago?
she worked there for quite a few years, and I worked at Tom McGann's. Even after I went to work for the telephone company, they wanted me to stay on and work part time, so I said okay. But when I went to work for the telephone company, they started me at a wage of $1.50 an hour. So Tom McGann's, I said, if you want me to stay, you have to pay me what the telephone company paid me. So they gave me a raise to $1.50 an hour, and I was making more money than the permanent cashier. Isn't that awful?
Very good. That was General Telephone.
General Telephone, GTE.
Later GTE. And when you started, they didn't have that big building. At the-
You know
on
where their
Ocean, did
main
they yet?
no, their main building was at 20th and Santa Monica Boulevard.
So were you still working for them when they put up the
Oh,
big
yes,
new building?
I sure was.
Yep.
I worked there for
Was this-
almost 30 years.
Uh-huh. My goodness.
Yeah.
But you never were one of those that said, number please.
Never was an operator.
Well, you might have been an operator in other ways, right? But
Might have been.
not a telephone operator.
Yes.
So it says you did customer representative
was.
and transportation and
Right.
testing and supervisor.
Yes, and I went to work at the test board, which is what you do when you get a repair report. You have to test the line and find out where the trouble is, and that I really got initiated when I did that job.
Oh, my.
Because you just had to keep up, put up with the guys, and then I got to be made a supervisor there, and they were kind of resentful, the men, because they'd never had a woman supervisor there before. So I did that for a number of years, and then went out to repair in Mission Hills, and that's where I stayed.
And at some point in that timeline, Tony came into your life.
Tony, yes. Tony? You mean my husband?
Yeah. For 5 years.
For a few years, yeah. I was married. Oh, yeah. I was married before I went to the telephone company.
Oh,
though.
okay.
So that's why I thought
Yeah.
there was there Tony I forgot about.
But he kind of left you a single parent with 2 children, right?
Yes, he did. We separated when Linda was 3 years old, and Cindy was 4, and he was always good. We were always friends, and but I raised the girls on my own pretty much. In case you don't know, over here is Cindy, my oldest daughter, and Linda, my younger daughter, and her husband Frank Shaw.
Good.
Okay.
And you both live fairly close here, don't you?
Well, not
Yeah.
too close.
How close?
Palmdale.
And
Oh, Palmdale.
Lockwood Center.
You're in Lockwood Center?
I'm in Lockwood Center.
You're in Lockwood Center. You're in Palmdale.
Yeah.
You commute from Palmdale?
I do.
God bless you.
God bless you.
My heaven. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, tell me I'm crazy.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to. I'll leave that to your husband.
Best not asked.
Yeah. When I asked about any stories during those times, you did mention trips with your mother
Oh yes, I did.
that were
I took a few
kind of fun.
I took a couple trips with my mother. I went on my own. I went with her to Boston to see the fall foliage, and that was about a 2-week trip. That we really had a nice time, and everything was beautiful. I'd never been out of California before we went there, and then just before she came here, she lived at the Nazareth house. And so just before she came here, we went to Hawaii, my sister and myself and my mother. And that was beautiful. I'd never been to Hawaii either. It was very nice.
Oh, very good. And then, okay, you were about 29 years with General Telephone, and then you retired.
I retired.
And you retired into probably being busier than you ever were in your life.
That is just the truth. And I retired in 1994. We had the earthquake, in the Northridge quake. And where I worked, my office was right there, practically in the middle of it. And I knew I couldn't go in there that morning. So I called the office and I asked about, was there any damage in the office? Because I had no idea at the point what had happened. And so the supervisor, thank God it wasn't me, that was there, said, oh yeah, well, we lost a few tiles. Well, when I went in the next day, it looked like a war zone. I'm not kidding. I couldn't believe how awful it was. And so I thought, oh, and then we were getting into all this electronic stuff and all these computers, and I thought, who needs this? You know? So I decided that I would retire, and I did retire. And the day I retired, I had a roommate for about almost 25 years, Betsy, and she was the roommate. I'm Pat. Peggy always calls me Betsy.
Oh my goodness, okay.
Anyway, Betsy worked for Monsignor Torgerson at St. Monica's. So the day I retired, I was so thrilled. It was like, oh, I couldn't believe how wonderful it was. And so I went over to the church and I told her, here I'm free, So Torgerson says, free? Do I have a job for you? I said, oh.
That's Torgerson.
So the first thing they did was he put me in charge of this auction that I did for 3 years, and honest to God, I almost went crazy. I thought I was going to go crazy. And in fact,
he can do that to you.
The last
anybody who knows him.
The last auction there was, I had a dream that this person won some particular ring or something. So when the person that actually won it came to claim it, the next day I said, oh no, you didn't win this, whatever the other lady, I said she won it. I caused such a stir, this guy got so mad. I thought, oh my God, I hope he doesn't leave the church over me. But the good thing about that auction was, the last auction that we had a drawing, raffle drawing, and the grand prize was $10,000. Well, my roommate bought a ticket. She bought the very first ticket and put my name on it. And when they called my name, I was floored. And I thought, well, I think I earned every damn penny of this. Nobody better could have got it.
Good. And so you kind of pretty much stayed with...
I stayed with him.
With the...
I stayed with Monsignor.
Doing odd jobs in the church.
I did so much. I did a lot. I worked in CCD. I did annulments. I did funeral ministry. You name it, I did it practically. And then I cooked. His regular cook fell and hurt her shoulder, so he asked me if I would come and fill in. So I said okay, and I did it. I did that for about 5 or 6 years, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I physically couldn't do it. So the only way to say no to Monsignor was not be around him. And I hope he doesn't see this. My God. But he knows the truth.
He knows it. He knows it.
So I was coming over here to the Nazareth house anymore, so I just kind of dropped out of St. Monica's. But I still consider it my home parish, and I like to go there.
Now your mother came to Nazareth House in 2003, and she was here for what, about 11 years?
About 11 years.
And
I brought a picture. One of the pictures I brought, the only reason I brought the picture is because there's a picture of my mother, who was she was about where Father Acton is now. That was a teeny little room, but she put herself in the care center and went to that dining room and did the activities there. And she fell in love with this guy, George. And she told my sister, I'm going to marry George. And my sister said, you are not marrying George. I said, oh, let her think so. You know, she's not going to get married, but you know what? Anyway, I brought the picture because there's a picture of she and George. So you're free to look at it
Those
after.
things happen in
They
places
do.
like this.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
And then he fell in love with somebody else, and she was crushed. And that's really when she went downhill from there.
Oh my. Oh my.
I think she died of a broken heart.
So there are stories here at Nazareth House, aren't there?
There are a few.
Okay. Let me see. During that time, or what actually revealed or opened up Nazareth House for you? Why were you?
Well, you know,
choosing
when
Nazareth
when
House
I
for your mother?
well, because I heard it was a wonderful place, which it certainly is, and my roommate really called and made the appointment with Sister, and so we came in, and I really had no idea how really bad off my mother was until, you know, you get her in certain circumstances. So I said to God, if you let my mother come here, I will do anything for those nuns. So I did. Immediately, Sister said, join the auxiliary. So that's what you can do, is join the auxiliary. So I thought, okay. So I mean, there was nothing to it. I went to a meeting, you know, quarterly, and we had a luncheon, and we had the little store, which was really nothing what it is today. And so I did that, and then, you know, they asked if I could maybe help at the desk once in a while. So I said, okay. So I did. So I was here every day. I mean, I was here a lot. And then what? So then I did the desk, and then I helped. This is a story I forgot to tell you the other day. But Sister Fenton, it reminded me because I'm on Facebook a little bit, and Sister Celestina right now is at some kind of a vocational workshop. And so when I saw it, Sister said, would you think you could help me with some flyers? So I said, okay. So we worked on flyers. She used to send flyers to every single church within the area where the 4 houses was, for all 4 houses. So I helped her, and with I said a little prayer, please give us a nun, with every little thing I stuffed. And so I don't know if we got any.
So that was Sister Fenton.
Sister Fenton.
And she was director of vocations.
She was in those days. So I
okay.
thought, gee, too bad she's not so good. Maybe I could have gone to that conference with her.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, I just, from there, never left. I've been here. Here I am.
Here through thick and thin.
Thick and thin. Right.
Including you're still volunteering at the desk once a week, aren't you?
2 nights a week.
2 nights a week. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then after your mother died, your sister was here for
My sister was
time.
here, yeah. My sister lived in Huntington Beach, and you know, we used to go to Mary's every week. We always went to Mary's. And when my mother came here, Mary came here, I have to say, she never missed a Sunday, never. She came here every single Sunday. So we really never had to go to her house anymore. It was actually a godsend because her husband was a jerk.
Oh my. Oh
But after, and when she retired, her son and her husband wanted her to move to Oregon. So she wasn't retired but about a month when they moved to Oregon, and she really didn't like it. And her husband, being such a jerk that he was, she was up there maybe, I don't know, maybe a couple of years, maybe. And she'd come down to visit, and she'd be crying and upset and da-da-da. So I said, well, you know, we can find you a place. We could find you a place, and, you know, they must have senior citizen places around here. Well, Linda went to Sister Loretta, and Loretta said, oh, no, she'll come here. So they gave her a little place, a little room, and she was right back there, I think in 116, I think, where Catherine is. I think she was in the room Catherine's in now. And she was here 6 months, and really, honest to God, I think it was the happiest 6 months that she'd had in a long time. And everybody was so good. These sisters have been so good to me. You can't believe it. I couldn't do enough for them. And when she was here 6 months, and one morning we were working in the auxiliary pricing items, and she didn't come, but I thought, well, maybe she just didn't feel like it, Well, then when she didn't come for lunch, I said to Linda, you better go check, And so they found her in her room, and she died peacefully in her sleep. So God bless her, and God bless that Denise that used to be here, and Sister Philomena. They let her they had her funeral here, and my mother's too. And for both of them, they gave her a beautiful reception. They were really, really, really good. And I'll tell you what, my heart is with the Nazareth house, really it is. So I'm on their side all the way.
And now you are a full-time resident.
Yes.
For what? A couple of years now, right?
I came here, when did I come? Last April.
A year ago, April.
May. A year ago, May. Anyway, I thought sure I'd die, when my sister died, I thought I would die right away, because everything we did the same. She got a mole, I got a mole. She got a diverticulitis, I got diverticulitis. It was just incredible to think we could get the same thing. So I thought surely that I would die when she died. I thought I would die, and I thought I would only be here 6 months, and I would probably die too. But here I am.
Here you are. And you have some kind of health procedures now that are giving you new hope.
I do. About a year ago, probably about the time I came here, I found out I had kidney disease. And so I had this doctor that I didn't like too much, and she wanted me to be on dialysis, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, then I got a new doctor who was very uplifting and positive. So she suggested I should go have this perineal dialysis. And did I know what that was? No, and I still really don't. Except that I'd be able to do it at home. And I've been preparing, 6 months ago today, they put a catheter in me. And I've been babying it along all this time. So now I'm ready to begin my perineal dialysis at home, PD. And so what happens is they're bringing a machine, and I put in this stuff, dextrose stuff, on the machine, and it goes into my perineal and kind of spreads out, I guess, this liquid. And it dwells there for a little while, and then it comes out. So this happens at nighttime, and so every night I'll be hooking myself up to my little machine. And I'm very grateful that I can do it at home, and I feel confident that I will be able to do it, and Linda will be helping me a bit. But I feel like I'll be able to do it.
Yeah, I did a little bit of reading on it, and
Did you?
It sounds very interesting, because basically it uses the lining of your abdomen, your perineum,
Perineum.
to serve as a filter to do the same thing that your kidney does.
Right.
And kind of pump some liquid in, and then that liquid is filtered with the toxins and whatnot that it collects,
And out it goes.
And out it goes.
Right. And they say it's much easier on your body than the
Much easier,
hemodialysis. Mm-hmm.
So let's hope and pray that will go very well for a long, long time.
I'm gonna just say this, that I believe, this is my belief, that I had my miracle because I prayed, and Sister and I say the rosary every night. And every night I pray for myself, of course, and for others that need little prayers. And I honest to God believe that that is my miracle, because it could have just been so much worse. And the doctor just is amazed. She's really amazed at how well I've done and I'm doing. So thank God for that, and thank you, Blessed Mother. I love you.
Amen. And we love you. Any questions?
Gee, I covered
Would
everything.
Linda or Cindy like to tell any tales that she conveniently omitted?
Oh, good to go.
Yes.
Good
When did you
job.
get married?
What?
When did you get married?
Oh, okay. I got married when I was 20 years old. I was an infant bride.
And then you were blessed with.
And I was blessed with 2 beautiful daughters. And they really were the cutest little girls. They were very
Well,
cute.
I think Linda's wonderful.
I know. Thank you. Yes, Ethel?
Pat, how long will you have to be on home dialysis?
For the rest of my life. Sister?
A lot of us have met Linda and we think that, not those two, but a lot of us think that as a single mother, you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes. Oh,
And great.
I have 6 grandchildren. Do I? Or 8? Well, I could count 8. I could say 8. Because Frank has 2 sons when he married Linda, so I consider them my grandchildren also. But biologically, I have 6. And the oldest one is 37. And he's got a baby daughter. She must be almost 2 years old now. And then most of you know Linda has a new grandbaby, which is my great-grandchild. So I have 4 great-grandbabies and 8 grandbabies.
So,
All grown up. Those kids are all grown up now.
so you might end up with a few great-greats.
I could, you know.
You could. You're young enough.
That, you know, the doctor said, you know, you could live 25 or 30 years with this. And I said, I don't think I really want to.
But that's with us. Of
With
course
us.
you'll want to.
Well, do you think you'll be here? I hope. And there's some pictures up here of the kids. Well, I don't know how many of the kids. Also, on my 70th birthday, the kids gave me a party, and of course, wasn't it at the Nazareth house? And we had a lot of people come, and all the residents came, and it was really lovely. I mean, these sisters have been, I can't say enough for these Nazareth sisters. They have been wonderful, and they still are. But I miss the ones that used to be.
I think any of us who have been here when they were here miss them.
And you know, Sister Saline, I don't know if any of you could remember her, but she was a tiny little thing, and she had a twin sister that lived in San Diego, and they were identical. They looked so much alike. But when I used to work at the front desk, when it was at the other end before the remodel, every day she used to bring me a little cup of soup. They don't get that kind of hospitality today, but they did then. Hi, Monica.
Okay.
I wanted to ask about your furry children.
Oh, my furry children?
Start having your
Your furry children, yes.
Oh, yes, I had 3 furry children. The first was Max, and the girls got me Max for my birthday. They got it for me just before I retired. I was still working when I got him. And where I lived, I never thought about having a dog, and I was so afraid my landlady wasn't going to let me keep him, but she did. And then he lived at least 12 years. And then after Max, I had Leo. You know, I was going to bring his picture, but I was afraid I might cry. Anyway, most of you knew Leo. We had a resident that lived on the first floor on the Holy Family side, down the hall, and she lived right near the end. And and he used to go visit her all the time, Leo. And
When you were working the front desk.
when I was at the front desk, yes, he used to just run all over. And so he was, he went to her room, and she had fallen. So he came, and he was running back and forth until he got the attention of one of the nurses or caregivers or somebody. And he took him down there. I mean, it was like Lassie, you know. You can't believe it. And so she had fallen and broken her leg, and do you know that dog stayed with her until the ambulance came and took her away? He followed her right to the ambulance, practically, to the door. And then he lived, he was about 12. And when he died, oh my God, it was horrible. And a story about him, he used to go downstairs where we lived and play with the little dog downstairs all the time. And when Betsy died, after that, he would never go downstairs. It was so weird, you know. And Max, the first dog, when Betsy died, I buried him with her. I put his little ashes in the coffin, and I don't even think I told the mortician. I should have, but I didn't. I wrapped him in a towel and stuck him in there. And then when Leo died, I didn't keep his ashes because I thought, well, they're not going to bury me with him. So I just let him keep the ashes. And now, you know, I have that little Maggie, and she's a little cutie. She's very shy, and I try to keep her under wraps. She's here a lot with me. She goes with Linda, but she stays with me a lot, and she's a cute little girl. She's a riot. So those are my furry friends.
Your furry friends. Okay. Well,
furry
it's
children.
about time. We're a little bit over time.
Oh.
So do you have any final parting shot for all of these people who love you so much?
Well, my parting shot would be, I like to be, I'm kind of a loner. I'm a bit of a loner. And I like to be around positive thinking. I think that if you think how you are. You know, if you're a little downer, it's not great, you know. So I like to be positive, and I'm telling you, the one that smiles the most around here is Elizabeth. And she's always sweet, and that's what I like. I like to try to smile. I probably don't smile as much as I should. But I try to think positive. And
Okay.
all right. Well, thank you
then
for coming.
Thank you all, and thank you, Pat. Here's the pictures that you brought. Could
Okay.
you just maybe describe who's who at the various pictures?
Okay, this is Lorena. This is Linda's granddaughter.
Okay.
And this is Cindy and Linda and I. And this was at Roy's 12 years ago. This was 12 years ago at Roy's wedding. And this is Mary and I, my sister, at her birthday, our birthday. And this is the same party, and this is John and Frank. John is Cindy's husband, and Frank is Linda's husband. And this is Alea,
How
and
cute.
she's almost 2 now. And that's Charlie's daughter.
Uh-huh.
My great granddaughter. And this is Trent. This is Roy's son.
Okay.
And over here, right here, this is my mother with George in the Nazareth House activity room.
Uh-huh.
And this is me with Cindy and Linda when we were young. We were pretty young. The girls were teenagers, I think. This was at Delma's house.
Yeah.
And this is Lloyd Torgerson and myself and Betsy. It's Smash Auction. And these are my grandsons Frank and Michael and Carolyn with me and Roy with me.
All right.
Okay.
So thank you. And thank you very much. It was a wonderful,
Thank
wonderful, wonderful interview.
Thank you.
And thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.